right, this problem, we need to factor the function again. There's 6 terms. Strangely, we could factor this one the way it's written just by grouping. You could, I suppose, group these 2 terms, yank out an x to the 4th, group these 2 terms, yank out a negative 5x squared, and group these 2 terms by yanking out a 4. The thing is, if you try that same technique on the next problem on this worksheet, it won't work. So I'm going to show you the way to do it using this hint. That'll also work on the next problem on this worksheet. If x equals negative 1 is a root, that also implies that x plus 1 is a factor. That's what the factor theorem says. If x minus a is a root, if x equals a is a root, then x minus a will be a factor. Because x plus 1 is a factor, I should be able to divide the original function by x minus 1 and get a more simplified function to work with. I'm going to do that using synthetic division. I'm going to put negative 1 in the box, because that's the value of x that would make my denominator be 0. And I'm going to line up my coefficients from the problem coming out of the box. I don't need any zeros here because all the powers are accounted for. That's a 1. I promise you that's a 1. We're going to get some zeros. That's maybe good. And again, you should get 0 for a remainder, because if what they're telling you is truly a factor, that means it'll divide into the original function without giving you a remainder. That's what makes it a factor. So my remaining answer is 1x to the 4th, because the degree in my answer will always be 1 less than the degree in the original problem when you do synthetic division. There aren't any x cubed terms. There's a minus 5x squared. There aren't any x terms, and there is a plus 4. So the remaining factors will come from that trinomial. That, I think, will actually be able to factor by unfoiling it. I'm going to start a new page. So we already had x plus 1 being a factor. We're going to get the rest from unfoiling this thing. X to the 4th could come from x squared times x squared. Positive 4 could come from 2 and 2. Looking ahead, I think it's going to come from 1 times 4, though. We need the signs to be the same because we're trying to multiply to a positive 4. And we are trying to add to a negative, which tells me I should make them both subtraction signs. This is my guess for how this combination will unfoil. I'm going to distribute this back out. I would get a negative 4x squared. Here I would get a negative 1x squared. These would combine to give me the negative 5x squared I had in the middle. And then, holy cow, these are both differences of squares, so these will both factor into 2 sets of parentheses. The x squared minus 1 is going to factor down to x plus 1 and x minus 1. X squared minus 4 will factor into x plus 2 and x minus 2. So there are 4 of the factors. If we pair that up with the factor that they gave us in the original hint, we have all 5 linear factors for our final answer on this problem.